This is The Red Lens. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Cris von Erik, and this is The Red Lens. Along with me once again is my trusted co-host, Franklin. How are you tonight?
Cris, I'm doing okay, man. I can't complain. I'm having a really good week so far. And how about you? Salute to everybody.
Same here, man. Same here. It's been great. And actually tonight's really special because tonight, I mean, this is probably the first time that the guest doesn't need really any introduction. He's really well known on not only the online communities. I mean, a lot of guys have that going for them. I mean, but he's been a standout, featured on multiple TV stations. I mean, VH1, we're talking Fuse, TLC, even been interviews of like Anderson Cooper on the Bank Show. I mean, tremendous. And you can actually contact him directly through his website of MrLocario.com. Now he finds himself on this program. God help him. The bad boy of dating, Mr. Locario. Here he is. Welcome to the show, my man. How are you?
What's going on? How's it going, man? How's you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. Thank you for spending some time tonight.
That's what's up.
I always like to warm up a little bit with a little softballs for the new guests.
Right.
But how you holding out with everything going on with the quarantine and your friends and family? Everybody's doing all right?
Yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's cool. My family, everybody's good. A lot of my friends is good. We just trying to got to keep it positive, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of craziness happening in the world right now. Stuff that's never happened in any of our lifetimes as far as like the whole COVID-19 stuff. And then, it's bringing back and then the whole riots thing and all this other stuff that's going on because of, the police brutality and all that. So it's crazy, but we gotta just keep pushing, man. Keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Now, you personally, are you married? Are you single?
Yeah, so I'm married. I also have a girlfriend because I'm in an open relationship. I'm non-monogamous. So I don't do monogamy, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I get down. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. God bless Mr. Locario here. Jeez. We might have to do a couple more streams after this.
Hey, let's get it happen. Let's get it going. You can do it.
Well, I mean, that's now how. All right. Outside of telling them this is exactly how it's going to be. How does that like materialize? How do you go from getting married and then once you're married saying, okay, well, honey, this is Kim.
Carefully. I'm thinking very carefully.
Right.
Words are chosen carefully.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is that like before I met my wife, I was in a relationship and I was monogamous with my ex-girlfriend, and that just didn't work out for me because while I was with her, I cheated on her like 18 times. You feel what I'm saying? And so I felt bad doing this nonsense. So I said, okay, the next girl that I get with, if we're in a relationship, I got to make sure that it's an open situation. So when I met my wife, we were just dating and she wanted to be my girlfriend at a certain point. And so when I decided to make her my girlfriend, I said, all right, well, listen, this is how it's going to go. I don't want it to be a monogamous thing. Let's keep it open. We'll keep it, I'm a date. And you can also date other guys if you want, but I can't do the monogamy thing, so it's not going to work out. So me and her have been together for 14 years. And my girlfriend now, we've been together for a little over a year. And, it's been good. And so that's just kind of like how it started off. So me and my wife were open since the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And just kept it going like that, Well,
I guess if you're open and you're honest right from the jump, they can't turn around and be like, this is not, you changed. This isn't what I said.
Exactly right. That's what it is. Right.
You didn't tell me.
Now, in terms of your life growing up, who are some of the big influencers, like talking about professional career, lessons, and did any of those kind of stick with you to today?
So you asked who are my biggest influences as far as what's got me. I mean, well, is really my I say my parents, you know, especially my dad. My dad, he's a reggae artist, so he travels across the country. He's been independent doing this thing for years. He's been, you know, on like he's traveled the world. And so just seeing him doing what he does and him able to continuously do what he does on his own and not having to like, you know, worry about, you know, some label or doing whatever. And he just kept doing his thing. So I was always inspired by the fact that he always, you know, kept going, you know what I mean? And a lot of his messages in his music was positive. Like he had a song called 99 Times You Try. And then so in the chorus, it goes 99 times you try, you don't succeed. 99 times you try again. You know what I mean? So it was always this like motivational thing that kept me going, doing whatever I was doing. You see what I mean? And that just kept me going to get to where I'm at now. You know what I'm saying?
Give me 2 or 3 things people might not know about you, like, you know, in terms of hobbies, or maybe you traveled somewhere. It was a great experience.
Right.
But, you know, keep it PG-13.
PG-13. Okay, good. Glad that you.
Glad you told me that.
I've only been doing this for a year. I don't need to.
Right.
Really pull.
I mean, so three things that people might not know about me. One, I guess I could say just my personality. As far as my personality goes, one, I'm very impatient. You know, I'm very impatient and kind of like, you know, like I'm very like meticulous about certain things. So it's like I'm like on time, you know, like 99% of the time, you know, I'm very like structured and everything has to be sort of like, you know, scheduled type of thing. So I'm that type of person. Another thing, you know, I guess about me that people probably wouldn't know is that I mean I've traveled to so let's say the first time I went on a plane, I was probably like in my late 20s or something like that. So, and I was scared to death. So I still sometimes have a little bit of fear flying, you know what I'm saying? But it's gotten better over the years. And I don't know, one more thing. I guess like, I don't know. I like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. This is an interesting question.
Like pizza.
I guess another thing is, I don't know how to drive. So that's one thing that's interesting. I can't drive for anything. I've lived in New York all my life. So I've always been taking the train, and now that Lyfts and Ubers are available, I've just never bothered to even learn how to drive. So you know. Right.
You know, I think a lot of people are like that live in the boroughs and the city.
Right.
You know, I know my family originally was actually they were in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
My family's originally from, and she never drove. So
right.
Yeah, so that's not.
Yeah, it's easy to not drive around here. Because
I wouldn't beat yourself up over that one.
Right.
My ex was the same way. She moved from Ridgewood to came out here, and she was like, 7-Eleven is like 2 miles away. What are you talking about? And she had to learn how to drive. It was a big culture shock for her.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, not a lot of people may know this one about you, but you were a writer for a time for Flagler Hill and Fort Greene. I guess that's a division of the Times or something. Now, what was that writing about? What did that consist of?
Yeah, so I used to write for a few websites. I wrote for, it was a site called Flagler Hill. I'm not even sure if they're even still up now. It was that site. It was another site called Singles Warehouse. That's in the UK. There's another site called datingadvice.com that I wrote a few articles about for. And so it was just basically like, you know, dating and relationship based articles. The funny part about me is that, like, I guess another thing people don't know about me is like I've written like 6 books. And I hate to write. Like I hate writing. I'm like the word. Like I'd rather just do a video. I hate writing. I'd rather do like a video or audio program. Like writing, like it's just like I do it because it needs to get done. So I do as much as I can to make it happen if I need to. But I rather not do it. This is just my thing. It's just it takes me a long time to write. Like if I was to write a really good article, it'd probably take me like at least 5 hours. You know what I'm saying? To write a good article. You know what I mean?
No, I share that because I mean that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I could never sit down and write, you know, a book or anything.
Right.
That. 5 hours to write an article.
Hell yeah. It'll take me a minute.
It would take me 5 months to write an article. 5 hours is nothing. I wish I could do that.
There was a time when you wanted to be a rapper. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was. The funny part was because I was rapping since I was like maybe like 16 or 17 or whatever, and I got offered a record deal 3 times. And so what happened was all 3 of those times, it was weird because they were all independent labels.
And there he is.
And then that's the picture when I was on VH1 I live in New York. But but yeah, my rap name was Trends. So I got it. There's still like mixtapes. If you go to, I think it's a website called datpiff.com. They have some of my mixtapes on there. So if you guys want to listen to my mixtape, just type in Trends at that website. And so I used to rap, whatever. I used to sell CDs on the street in Times Square. And for a time, I was actually paying rent like that. Like that's what I would do. I would get up early in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, stay in Times Square up until like maybe 6 and just sell CDs all day. And I would be coming home with maybe like $400, $500, a week or whatever like that. I mean, not a week, like a day, actually, some days. And then I was just paying my bills off of that. But yeah, I never actually signed with those labels because they didn't have enough money or something crazy happened where everything just fell through. So I started putting out mixtapes on my own. And then I kind of stopped rapping because even though I liked it, it wasn't really as financially beneficial for where I was trying to go with it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I can't stand out here forever selling CDs. You know what I mean? And so and this was before like Spotify. This was before the internet was even like that crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? So
this guy Biggie came around and ruined all your dreams.
Exactly right. Exactly. He should have been just got it all popping. You know what I'm saying?
But that's great. I mean, just to do one of those things is amazing.
Right.
But you were writing, you were trying to get the rap game thing going. And then now, as we are going to move more into modern stuff here, you did parlay the writing into, as you said, I think your newest book is How to Have Sex with 2 Girls in One Day.
Yeah, How to Have Sex with 2 Women a Day. Yeah.
I absolutely love that title. So, now, given what you just told us before, how long it usually takes you to write,
right?
What even made you decide to write that book, and what is that book about?
Yeah, so what made me write this book is I wrote like a small ebook before that called The Magnificent 10 Crucial Dating Tips for Men, and that was something that I just gave out for free. And then after I was finished that, I was asking people like, what do you want to hear about? What is the thing that you want to know about the game? And so a lot of guys that would email me or hit me up, they was like, yo, I want to have sex with more women, more sex, more dates, more all of that. So I was like, okay, what can I put out there that will, teach them how to do that? But also I had to come up with something catchy that stood out. You understand what I'm saying? And so I was thinking, I was like, what have I done in my life that pertain to me having a lot of sex and having multiple, sex with, multiple women or whatever. And I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I remember days where I had like sex with 2 or 3 girls a day. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, oh, let me write a book on how to have sex with 2 women a day. You see what I mean? And so I was like, if guys are really trying to get a lot of sex, this is just straight up. This is what, this will teach you some things that can help you have more options. And so that's what the main focus on the book is that it teaches men how to have more options, but it also teaches men how to be more confident. It teaches men how to, understand interacting with women. It teaches men how to, to dress, their appearance, like a lot of different things that will help a guy attract more women. You know what I'm saying?
That's great. And I think, Franklin, I have to move in with Locario for a little while.
You know what? That just might be the ticket.
And people can get that where can they get that book?
You can go to mrlocario.com to get a copy of that book. So I have it in ebook form, audiobook form, and I have the paperback. So this is the paperback right here. So you guys can get that also too on the site, mrlocario.com. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely check that out.
That's great.
All right, that's good.
Now you obviously provide relationship and dating counseling for guys and ladies, I think, right?
Yeah, women too. I also coach women also. Yeah.
Okay. I would imagine when you're talking and you're giving advice to women, it would be different than guys. How would that be the case?
Right.
How have you found that to be the case?
Right. Well, this is what I learned over the years, because what happened is that giving advice to guys is easier than giving advice to women. Well, if you're giving real advice, so let me differentiate. If you're giving real advice that works, it's easier to give it to guys than it is to women. So guys, you will say, hey, do A, B, and C, and a guy will be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna try A, B, and C, and I'm gonna do that. Most guys will do that. For women, though, what happens is, and it's funny because I have a friend who's a coach strictly for women, and I asked him one time, I said, hey, I'm trying to get my female client base up. What is it that I can do to make that work? And so he was saying, because my female client base was a little low. Then, I said to him, so what do you think is my issue? He said, well, Locario, you tell too much truth to women. He said, you have to sell women hope. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what a lot of the most successful coaches who coach women, they sell women hope. They don't actually sell women the truth. So, and the reason why is because, and this is why it's so hard for women to get real advice, is because women usually shut down when you tell them the reality. They don't want to hear it because it makes them feel uncomfortable. As soon as they feel uncomfortable, they shut down. And so they don't get the actual truth. So this is why a lot of guys who are successful giving advice to women, they give them, hope and all this other stuff. So what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to give my advice to women in more of a, they call it I think you probably heard this, like a compliment sandwich. So you say like the problem, and then you put some like nice sugary stuff in there, and then you give like a real solution that can really make things work. So that's the only way I can really give women the truth with them even hearing it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the thing.
Yeah. So it's giving them the optimism. Along with the information.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Now, again, what I said before is true. News broadcasts, little segments, things like that. And when I was looking around for stuff on you, I came across something on your MrLocario.com site. And one of the things was a segment where you were out in Manhattan with one of the anchors, and they were giving you kind of questions from the people back in the anchor office. Right. And I couldn't believe it, but like the general questions and the looks on the ladies back in the office were just like, okay, MF, you're smooth or whatever, but you don't got me.
Right.
So I just thought that was like really, really something, like saying that, like, and the guys kind of took it as a joke. Back at the office. So that's part of the problem. I think the general population doesn't realize that what you're offering and how you're going about doing things and giving the information, it's not a joke.
Right.
If they want results, whether it's a guy or a girl, the time to joke around about it is over. If you really want to make results.
Right.
So that's what I took out of that. I just thought it was funny that they took it as a joke.
Yeah, because it was a show called Chasing News on Fox actually, and so I forgot how it even found me. I think the and shout out to them too, because it was still some good promotion. But that's what mainstream media does, is that mainstream media it's hard to get real information out to the mainstream media, because the mainstream media promotes, a lot of like, soft type of advice and soft type of like, things, because they can't, it's hard to get to the nitty gritty with mainstream, because mainstream already has their own narrative. So if anything you're talking about goes against the narrative, it's like they can't really, put it out there and make it a thing. And so a lot of people, and unfortunately, this is why a lot of people don't have success in their relationships, because they don't get the real stuff. They get the watered down mainstream type of, information. And so when the real information hits that, it's like a clash. It's like, oh, well, we don't want to like take this seriously so that others won't take it seriously. You see what I mean? But so it's like something good to show, but it's like the people who get it they'll understand. The other ones will still be asleep and not really know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I took from that as well.
Mm.
When you're coaching guys and
Mm.
you're talking to them, I should say, what are some of the most aspects for guys to be successful, whether it be dating short term or long term? I would imagine in your position there'd be two separate ideas on that.
Right.
Explain that a little bit to some of the guys out there. That'd be great.
Right. Well, the thing is that first you got to figure out what you're specifically, what you want specifically, just in general. Like, what you want. Like, let's say, for example, if you're the type of guy who is, looking for casual sex and just want to hook up, have some fun with some ladies or whatever. I'm not looking for anything serious. You have to approach women in that manner. So you have to approach them honestly in that way. That's going to get you the most results. Now, let's say if you were like, you know what, I'm not really just trying to get casual sex. Like if it happens, it's cool, but I want to get like a girlfriend type of vibe. I want to have that type of thing. I want to date someone. I want to get to know her or whatever. There's a different way you approach women for that. You see what I mean? So based off of your goal, it's going to determine how you're going to approach the situation. You see what I mean? And unfortunately, a lot of guys, they approach situations the same, no matter what they're trying to do. And that's not the correct way to do it. Because, for example, a guy may just want casual sex and he'll approach a situation like a guy who wants a long-term type of relationship. So, for example, he may take a girl out on 3 dates or, wine and dine her, do all this other stuff. And you don't need to do that for casual sex. You see what I mean? And so you got to figure out what you want first and then go down that route. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I would not say that to anybody to take them on multiple dates and all that stuff. You'll go bankrupt.
Yeah, for sure. I was down that road a couple of times until I got slapped in the head and realized that it was really the wrong thing to do.
Right. No,
you're right about that. There's a different way to approach either situation.
I'm sorry I had to do that, Franklin, but it had to be done.
What's that?
I had to slap you. I'm sorry.
You know what? I needed it. Let's be honest. If I could squeeze in a question real quick.
Sure. Go.
If you don't mind, what are the demographics of the guys that are coming to you for help?
Yeah, they're usually between lawyers. It's like usually guys between 18 and like 35. All from all races and stuff. Because when I do lectures and stuff like that, live events, it's like black guys, white guys, Asian guys. It's like all over the place. And it's dudes who from every type of, it's like so wide, it's every type of demographic. Like it'll be guys who are, I've had lawyers and doctors and I've had guys who work at Target, you know what I'm saying? So it all depends. Cause it's like at the end of the day, every guy, no matter what his situation is or position he's in, he still is trying to figure out like, what can I do to maximize my situation in the dating game, and for whatever he's trying to do, you know what I'm saying? So.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah. Every guy wants ass, Franklin.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I got a cousin Greg does, but that's another story.
Right.
So what are the top 3 mistakes you see guys making when they go out looking for girls?
Right.
3 nights in a row.
Right. I'd say well, one of the mistakes is lying. You understand? I think a lot of guys think they have to lie to women and pretend to be something they're not in order for women to think they're attractive. Another mistake guys do is they beat around the bush too much. You understand? So guys will get more success if they're just more direct, more bold, and just letting women know what they actually want to do. And the third I would say is just hesitation. So guys will go out, let's say to bars, clubs, events, whatever, see women, and they'll hesitate to approach a woman. They'll see a woman across the room or whatever. And sometimes a woman even saw him and she's seeing that he's hesitating. And then the more he hesitates, the less attractive she sees him. And so if he finally approaches her, but she saw him hesitating, for the past like 20 minutes, right, then that's going to make it to where she's not what she thought, is going to, be she might have thought he was attractive at first, but now it kind of lessens and he could still get her, but he's going to have to work harder because now her perception of him is different. You see what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah, and it almost exudes a lack of confidence if he's waiting there too long.
Right.
And
exactly.
I think Mystery talked about that. There's that, little window of time, like it's like 5 or 6 seconds, and that's it. You have to make your decision.
Yeah, you just got to go do it. You know what I mean?
Start it. So I agree. I agree with that. I think the delay is something that really shoots them in the foot.
Right.
If I may build on what you said before, just now, actually, about lying about what you're all about, what you have, what you don't have, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, when you constantly see a woman when you constantly see the guy with the nice car, the 6-figure salary, Rolex that he's wearing, okay, get the girl and the captain of the chess club, okay, not getting the girl. I mean, how do you look and say, okay, well, he's real successful. He's got all of that, and that's what women appear to be attracted to. But this clown who doesn't have all of that is constantly, leaving the club by himself.
Right.
How do you say to the guy, well, you know what? Women really aren't attracted to that. How do you get past that?
Right. Well, the thing is, you have to. What guys have to understand is that there's different types of attraction. Right. Okay. So you have sexual attraction. Then you have women who will be attracted to you because you have resources. There'll be women who will be attracted to you because they see you as a friend. You understand? Women who will be attracted to you because they're gonna just give you. You're gonna give them attention. So there's all these different things that women are attracted to, because attraction means that you're just being pulled into. You're drawn to it. So you may see a guy with a woman who let's say he has a nice car, he has a fancy jewelry on, clothes, whatever it is like that, and he could be with that woman, but you don't necessarily know who that woman is and why she's with him. So this could be an escort. He could have paid for her for the night. You see what I'm saying? It could be a woman who's stringing him along. Like, for example, I have my business partner. His sister told me once that and it's funny because I know his sister very well, and she told me one time where she was dealing with a guy for 2 years, and he was paying her bills. He was giving her money, doing all this extra shit. She never had sex with him. All she gave him was like 2 tongue kisses in 2 years. You understand what I'm saying? And so I'm saying you have guys out there who are that lame that they'll go through things for, because they're like, oh, I hope I get some sex. You know what I'm saying? So women will string them along like that. So you could have a guy who has game, who also has a nice car, looks fancy, all that other stuff. And the reason why a woman is sexually attracted to him is because he has game, not necessarily the other things. So the other things usually will be icing on a cake for that guy. Now, if a woman is with a guy just because he has those things, she'll use him for those things and string him along and be in that situation where the same way where she could be dealing with him for a few months and he still hasn't had sex with her. So what I say is looks can be deceiving, because you can see a guy with all these things and all that other stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's actually having sex with the woman. It doesn't mean that the woman is sexually attracted to him. So she could be just attracted to him because he has resources. And so therefore she'll use him for those resources. You see what I'm saying?
All right. Makes sense.
Right.
And that, I aside from the scenario you're talking about, what other guys or couples have you come across and said, my God, I can't resolve this. This is just insane, and it's just not going to happen. Have you ever come across something like that?
Oh, you saying have I ever across like a client or somebody that I just couldn't help?
It's just like, you know what? You guys need a priest or something. I'm out of here.
Right. Well, yeah, it's funny because there's certain people who call into my live streams that they still don't get it. It just be like you try to tell them over and over again, they just don't get it. But there are people who I've worked with personally and close up where, like, I remember there was a woman I was going to coach, and she was about to send me the money for the coaching, and I told her to not. I said, listen, this isn't going to work. And she's like, why not? And the reason why was because she didn't listen to what I was saying from the beginning, even before we started coaching. Like I was like, hey, this, you got to do this, do that. And we were going back and forth like crazy with her not really actually doing the things that we needed to get set up for the coaching sessions. So I was like, listen, if you can't listen to me just to set up the coaching sessions, what I tell you with this coaching stuff is not going to register because you have a problem with listening. You see what I mean? And so I had to say, just don't send the money. And when you're ready to listen, you can come back. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right. And so that's the main thing where you have people who, because this is the thing, in order for you to coach someone, they need to want it. You understand? They need to want to be able to, they have to be coachable, meaning that they have to be able to listen, take direction, and actually implement with the coaching information. And so what happens is you have people that come along who it's weird. They think they know more than the coach. So you'll say, hey, look, do A, B, and C. And they're like, well, I don't know. Shouldn't I do like D, E, and F? And I'm like, no, don't do D, E, and F. If that was the case, I would tell you to do that. You see what I mean? And so I'm like, right now you're coming to me for information, but you're being resistant. You know what I'm saying?
You got to show them the book you just wrote and be like, did you write this?
Right. Exactly. It's like, it's so weird how that happens. You know, it's like, so it's the person has to be coachable. Some people just aren't coachable, and then therefore they're not going to get the accurate information that's going to help them. So it's like they need to be in a position where they're ready to learn. You know, they have that saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now, this is for the girls, the 10% of them that are probably actually watching me. But what do you think they're doing wrong? Is it just like, they got a bunch of piercings, or they're don't care about their appearance, or could it be something else? What are the girls, what are the women out there doing wrong?
Well, one of the main things is women, unfortunately, don't learn from their mistakes. You understand? And this is I mean, it's a broad thing I'm saying, but what happens is that women generally will, it's in their nature to go based off their emotion. But at the same time, what happens is that women will make the same mistakes because what women will usually do is women will usually try to go after the unrealistic situation. And so what I mean is that most women, what they want is, the top super attractive. He's like the top on point guy, which is fine. It's nothing wrong with that. What happens though is that 98% of women want him. So therefore that guy usually is not going to be the guy. For example, if a woman wants a monogamous relationship, he's not the guy you need to be talking to if you want that monogamous relationship. Right. So instead of trying to get with that guy, you need to get with, Bob over here in accounting, who's a really nice guy. You know what I'm saying? He goes to work, he pays his bills, he pays his taxes, and he has, resources to help you out. That's the guy that most women need to be with. But they keep chasing after, the bad boy. They keep chasing after the super attractive guy. They keep chasing after that guy, and they're trying to get that guy to be with them. So you ever notice when you hear women say, I can't find a good man, right? But then you say, but wait a second, but you have so many men trying to get with you. How come you can't find a good man? The reason why they can't find a good man is because they're all chasing after that one type of guy who is he's having sex with all the women and just keeping it moving. That's his MO, because he knows he can get multiple women. So he has no incentive to stay with any one of them. But Bob in accounting, he's just chilling like, hey, I'll gladly take you and be with you by myself, but he's not as attractive. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so women aren't, the problem is women aren't willing to trade the less, their what they want in a relationship to be with that less attractive guy. They want what they want in a relationship with the top guy, but it's almost impossible for them to get that. You understand what I'm saying? Unless they share him. You see what I'm saying? And most women aren't willing to share that guy. Right. So they either have to share the top guy, or they have to get with the average Bob and have him to theirself. So you can have that guy to yourself and just be like, okay, well, he's not as attractive as I wanted, but I'll take him. This is why they call it settling down. You understand? You have to settle down with this guy. You understand what I'm saying? If you really want that type of situation. You see what I'm saying?
Rollo talks about this quite a bit.
Right.
It's that the genuine desires, attracted to versus what turns them on.
Right.
There's two different things there. They're attracted to the guy that has money and can give them a house with the dog and etc. That might not be the guy that also turns them on.
Right.
So they have to understand that and get to a point where they're good with that.
Right. Because see, us men, we're more practical in our, in who we deal with, and it's also the way that things are set up. So women are constantly bombarded by men. So they're like, oh, I'm just going to wait for that perfect guy to come through. Men, we have to work for what we want. So what we do is we'll say, you know what, this woman, I'm attracted to her. She's not like, a supermodel, but I'm attracted to her. She's good looking. She's cool. She cooperates with me. I'm gonna stick with her. Right. We're not saying, oh, well, I'm gonna, get rid of her and try to get better. You know what I'm saying? And throw away all of this and try to, because we know we got to put in more work. Women, on the other hand, on the front end, they're getting a lot of guys, hitting them up all the time. So they're always constantly searching for that better dude. But usually what happens is that he never comes, or if he does come, it's usually just a casual thing that, that fades away. You know what I'm saying?
All right. What is the biggest challenge facing people as we move here forward in 2020? Is it a different landscape? Is it, what is the big challenge? Is there some factors that guys should be, cognizant of?
Talking about the biggest challenge as far as dating is concerned.
Yeah,
I would say, and I actually talked about this a little bit on one of my Bad Boy Show episodes that I did, where I was saying that nowadays, like in 2020 and in today's age, it's a little bit more difficult because now you're more on your own with the dating game. So, for example, back in like the 40s and the 50s, you had society that would help. I said society was your wingman back in the day, meaning like you had like a family or a friend that was like, hey, I got Peggy Sue over here. I want to hook you up with my daughter. And then, Peggy Sue would come with you and y'all get a milkshake and y'all talk. And then you and Peggy would get together and all that other stuff. And it'll be great. Nowadays in 2020, it's not like that. It's every man for themselves. It's like, well, if you want to get a girlfriend, if you want to have sex, if you want to do what you got to do, you have to learn how to do that and you have to go do it. No one's going to help you. You understand what I'm saying? Except for you. And especially nowadays, because we have social media and all these things are moving in such a fast pace, right? It's more crowded. So back in the days, all you had to worry about was the girl in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Now it's like it's competition with the whole world. You understand? So you have women out here, for example, like we was talking about earlier, they'll get bombarded with so many guys all at once. So now you're in the same situation as all those guys. So how do you stand out in that situation? And vice versa for women? It's like, how does a woman, stand out to be that type of woman that men are going to really want for, more than sex or whatever it is. So nowadays in 2020, it's that it's a little bit difficult, but also because you have so much things at your disposal, if you know what you're doing, then it becomes simple and it becomes a little bit more beneficial to you. If you don't know what you're doing, it's going to be a headache. You understand what I'm saying? So just like, for example, with online dating, for a lot of guys, online dating is hell. You understand what I'm saying? For most dudes, it's hell. I mean, it's ridiculous. And because they don't know what they're doing, that's why it's that way. But if they knew what they were doing, it'll be a little bit more easier and it'll get even easier as they progress into what they're doing. So it's one of those double-edged sword things where it's like, yeah, it's gotten more difficult, but at the same time, if you know what to do, it's a little bit easier. So for example, I'll give you this example. Like back in the days, it was probably harder to become an entrepreneur in a sense, meaning like you had to have a certain amount of money first, and then you had to, have like a storefront or whatever it was, and you had to, pay for billboards and all this other stuff. But now a 17-year-old kid could turn on YouTube, make some videos and make money off of YouTube, or come up with a product or make some t-shirts or whatever and sell them online. He'll make, $10,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, he has to work extra hard to get there, but it's doable if he knows what he's doing. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that that milkshake has to come with Chanel now.
Yeah.
if if I may, that was good. If I may build on Chris's question, how do you see relationships going forward?
Mhm.
You know, everybody with social distancing and clubs and things like that, and hey, how you doing from the other side of the club, and
Right.
that whole. How do you find that changing the game up at all, if at all?
Right. I mean, all of those things are gonna. It's not necessarily gonna change it too much because, like it'll be surface changes. So, for example, let's say because we don't even know how they're gonna be implementing this stuff, but let's say, for example, that with in a bar they say, okay, we can only have this amount of people, and social distancing or whatever. People already aren't social distancing right now. Like even in New York, when I'm walking outside and I see people at the cafes and the restaurants, some of the restaurants are opening up and people are sitting next to each other, hugging, just getting close, because the thing is, it's not natural for us to actually social distance. You see what I'm saying? So
right.
So our natural inclination is going to be to try to make things happen. Because even when the quarantine stuff was first going on, like in March, people were still hooking up. You know what I mean? Like people were still getting online. They would say, "Hey, come over to my house." The other person would go over their house, and so people were still making things happen. So it's naturally a thing that's going to occur because it's in our nature to want to get together, procreate, and right. do what we do. So none of this is really. It's only gonna. It's gonna affect it on the surface. But at a certain point, it's going to go right back to how things already were, or we're going to get used to how things probably will change a little bit, and then still do it. Just like how social media is for now. Like back in the day, you would have to go to a party to meet a girl because there was no social media, but now there's the internet. So the internet changed that, but it's still sort of the same type of thing of, hey, I see a woman, I want to get with her, we meet up and we get together. So COVID-19 and none of that is not going to stop it, because even right now you got a lot of people out there with AIDS and all these like diseases, and people still meet up and have unprotected sex on the first night. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah. It's ridiculous. So
I still prefer the party. Hi, how are you doing? I still face to face.
Oh yeah, me too. I love that better too. That's
face to face, and that's it.
Right.
And usually, that's it.
Usually the online thing, you have you say hi to them, and all of a sudden the paywall comes up. It's only there goes that one.
Right.
The last thing I'll ask you here, at least for myself, is you got a crystal ball. Where is Mr. Locario in 10 years? Are you writing still? Are you doing online help stuff, seminars?
Right.
Or maybe you're living somewhere else.
Yeah, in 10 years, I'm going to still be doing this specifically as far as coaching, but also real estate type of stuff I want to get into. But also I'm going to be doing more, more business and motivation coaching type of stuff, because I actually have a book called How to Get Shit Done, and it teaches you 7 tips on how to achieve your goals. You guys can get that at locariomotivation.com. That's my other site, or you can get it on Amazon. So I started to write books and get into just more of like self-help situations, because this is the funny part about dating advice. And I remember I heard this guy, he has a channel called School of Attraction and does really good content on like Tinder and stuff. But he said, he did a video once, and I totally agree with him. He said that a lot of the dating advice is simple to implement. He said the problem is, though, he said something to the effect of that a lot of guys, for example, are have mental issues, or they have like they're socially awkward, and they have a learning disability or something. You know what I mean? So it's certain things that's stopping them from doing the simple things of just interacting with a woman. You understand what I'm saying? So they would have to, they would have to get they would have to like address that first. But also too, even further than that, it's even more just like a confidence thing too. So a person may, just off the strength of them being super insecure, that's going to make it hard for them to, make things happen. So I want to do more stuff about confidence, more stuff about believing in yourself, more, some more motivational type of stuff. So I'll be doing that more in the next 10 years and everything like that.
Oh, good.
There you go. Locario is going to be the next
some Tony Robbins.
He's going to be on TV.
Or Eric Thomas, one of them dudes.
There you go. I am very sincere about the guys that I bring on, and I think that your information that you're giving to guys and to people is tremendous. I really do. I think you speak from experience. You speak from a position of understanding, and you're not trying to job anybody, and that's what is genuine. So I
appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate that.
And everybody, you can get over to his sites here, badboymembership.com, and the main site is mrlocario.com.
Right.
Again, I want to thank you for stopping by tonight. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, bro.